Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. This is the Sports Cave. Your host, Robbie, here. So, most of you that do know me know, obviously, why we didn't do the show last week. For those that don't know me on a personal level, because I found out we got a pretty good audience going out there. Not only just, like, people I know, but just, like, even out of the country. We're getting some numbers. So, all of you that can listen outside this country that can understand what I'm saying. Some of these countries, they need to speak English. Thank you. Thank you for the support. We had the flu last week, and that shit fucked me up good. I lost 10 pounds from that damn thing, putting a little bit, not really much of any weight back on, which is a good thing. But I couldn't fucking even just like sit last week. So just try to sit here and talk would have been absolutely painful. Couldn't do it. But we're still somewhat coughing outside of that. We are feeling a lot better. Now, I missed out last week on a hell of an NFL week because free agency opened up and a lot has happened. I will not be going over every single move. I will go over through a lot of them, and I also go through my favorite team because, you know, if you have a podcast, you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. So I will talk about some of the moves that the Patriots made as well. The NHL, we're going to stick away from the NHL and the MLB today. We will talk a little bit about the World Baseball Classic because that championship is happening tonight between Venezuela and the United States of America. But if you were here before the show started, the real reason why we're starting off with this. While it is not sponsored by the High Life officially, it's sponsored for free. Miller High Lifes. Yeah, baby. Let's have a High Life. Haven't had one of these in a while. All right. So, we're getting some traction going with our bracket here. A lot of people are joining that weren't in it last year, and we're hoping that the number increases. It is going to be an epic tournament. Don't know who's going to end up winning it this year. It feels like it's wide open for the given. You know, last couple of years, you kind of figured out who you think were going to come out victorious in the bracket. More specifically, last year, a lot of people had Florida winning. The year prior, I think everybody, including myself, had UConn Huskies winning it. The year before when UConn won, I don't know. I think a lot of people didn't think that UConn was going to win. I thought they were going to win. I know that's a homer pick, but going into this year's March Madness, I'm not sitting here thinking that UConn's going to win it. I'm going to go back-to-back years of saying that they're not going to win it. But before I get into all that, why don't we just go down by the regions and then talk about the matchups. So I'm going to save the East for last because most of the viewers that listen are UConn fans and know what the East looks like. So we'll go over that last. In the West, we're going to start off over in the West where we have Arizona as the 1 seed versus number 16 Long Island. Number 8 Villanova take on number 9 Utah State. Utah State is favored by 1.5, but I am shocked by that. I probably will be taking Villanova in that game. Number 5 Wisconsin taking on number 12 High Point. I'll give you the spreads too. Arizona's a minus 30.5. Villanova's an underdog of 1.5. Wisconsin are 9.5 point favorites against High Point. Number 4 Arkansas with John Calipari taking on number 13 Hawaii. Arkansas is 15.5 point favorites. BYU, it is determined who they will end up facing. It'll be the winner between North Carolina State and Texas. And in that game, that'll be played. Actually, it's going to be played in about 3 hours. That is a 9:15 kickoff here on Tuesday as we are recording. North Carolina State are 1.5-point favorites against the Longhorns. So BYU will be taking on the winner of that game. Regardless, I think BYU is going to end up winning regardless. Number 3, Gonzaga versus number 14, Kennesaw State. Gonzaga 20.5-point favorites. Number 7, Miami, not Miami of Ohio, taking on number 10, Missouri. Miami 1.5-point favorites. And number 2, Purdue, taking on number 15, Queens. Purdue 25.5-point favorites. So within that West, I think the best team isn't even Arizona. Arizona obviously was a number 1 seed for a good portion of this college basketball season. But I'm looking at Purdue. Purdue, I believe, opened up the season as the number 1 seed. Kind of fluctuated back and forth, but I think that Purdue has the best chance of coming out of the West. All right, the Midwest. Number 1, Michigan will be taking on the winner of SMU. Michigan will be taking on the winner of Howard and UMBC. Howard are 1.5-point favorites in that matchup. Number 8, Georgia. It's taking on number 9, St. Louis. Georgia, 2.5-point favorites. Number 5, Texas Tech hosting Akron. Texas, 8.5-point favorites. Number 4, Alabama. Taking on number 13, Hofstra. Alabama, 11.5-point favorites. Number 6, Tennessee will be taking on the winner of SMU versus Miami, Ohio. SMU are 6.5-point favorites. Miami of Ohio suffered their first loss in the championship game in their conference championship. And I think that SMU is just better than Miami of Ohio. It's a shame that we're not going to see Miami of Ohio actually get the opportunity to play. I think that this should have been a lock-in team. I mean, we're talking about a team that only had 1 loss. I don't care how easy it is in their conference. I mean, Cinderella stories have happened before, right? I mean, Loyola of Chicago, they made it to the Final Four. I mean, I just would have liked to see them get a fair opportunity and not had to compete with SMU for the 11th seed. So Tennessee will most likely be taking on SMU. Number 3, Virginia, taking on number 14, Wright State. Virginia, 18.5-point favorites. I might take Wright State with the spread because we know how Virginia gets in the March Madness tournament. I'm not saying I'm taking Wright State outright, but I think I might take them with the spread. Number 7, Kentucky, because 18.5 points is a lot. Number 7, Kentucky, taking on number 10, Santa Clara. Kentucky, 3.5-point favorites. Number 2, Iowa State, taking on number 15, Tennessee State. Iowa State comes in at 24.5-point favorites. And out of the Midwest, I think Michigan will be the team come out of the Midwest. Or, yes, the Midwest. Number 1, Florida, taking on number 16, the winner of Lehigh and Prairie View. Lehigh are 3.5-point favorites. Regardless, one of those two teams is going to get butt-fucked by the Gators. Number 8, Clemson, taking on number 9, Iowa. Iowa comes in at 2.5-point favorites. Number 5, Vanderbilt, taking on number 12, McNeese. Vandy comes in at 11.5-point favorites. Number 4, Nebraska, hosting number 3. Well, there's no really hosting here because they're all going to be in different locations. Number 4, Nebraska, taking on number 13, Troy. Nebraska, 12.5-point favorites. Number 6, North Carolina, taking on number 11, VCU. North Carolina are only 2.5-point favorites because they are down a lot of their best. Caleb Williams specifically, but I think VCU is going to be an upsetter. I think they are going to take down North Carolina in the first round. Number 3, Illinois, taking on number 14, Penn. It's a goddamn shame because that should be Yale, but Yale did end up losing the Ivy League championship to Penn. Yale is the better team compared to Penn, but I guess just winning the championship was good enough, obviously, to put them into the tournament. So I think Illinois is going to mop the floor against Penn. Number 7, St. Mary's, taking on number 10, Texas A&M. St. Mary's, 3.5-point favorites. And number 2, Houston versus number 15, Idaho. Houston, 23.5-point favorites. 1 second, please. A lot of talking to get very personal. Oh, please hold. Hold on. It's very important that I check my lineups this week, folks. We are in the fantasy land right now for basketball and hockey, and we are in the playoffs. So we have to make sure we properly adjust our lineups. All right. Wait a second. Can I do one more move? Yes, I can. Because I'm desperate. All right, thank you for bearing with me. It's very important that I check these lineups. The South to me is wide open. I don't buy into the Florida hype. Now, it was between Florida and UConn, from what the experts were saying, for who was going to get that final spot for the final number one slot, and it ended up going to Florida. Sorry, now I'm updating my hockey lineup. I'm glad I got that update from Yahoo that saved me from elimination. So, again, it's Florida, Illinois, Houston, Nebraska. Those are the top four. And this just doesn't this one feel like you could see, like, if VCU does get eliminated by North Carolina, maybe North Carolina is the 6th seed, goes down and takes the spot in the South. I don't know. This one is a tough one. I really don't believe in the Gators this year, guys. I probably would stick more with Houston. I would pick Houston to go, I think, towards the end more than I would take Florida. I'm not buying into Florida this year. I think Florida has a really good chance of losing to Vanderbilt or Nebraska. So we'll see. The last one, the East. All right. Number 1, Duke taking on number 16, Siena. Duke are 27.5-point favorites in that matchup. Ohio State and TCU. Ohio State are 2.5-point favorites. St. John's, winners of the Big East tournament, taking on Northern Iowa. St. John's, 10.5-point favorites. Kansas, the Jayhawks, taking on CA Baptist. Kansas, 14.5-point favorites. Number 6, Louisville, taking on number 11, South Florida. That's going to be a freaking dogfight. Louisville is only 4.5-point favorites in that. South Florida could take them down. Number 3, Michigan State, taking on number 14, North Dakota State. Michigan State, 16.5-point favorites. UCLA versus UCF. UCLA, 5.5-point favorites. And UConn taking on Furman at 20.5-point favorites. I've been saying it. I don't know if I've been saying it on air, but I've been telling a lot of people this year as it pertains to the UConn Huskies. I think the UConn Huskies max potential is Sweet 16, Elite 8. They, after watching, most of them finally got to see what I've been seeing out of this team since the end of January. Although I went to that game against St. John's where they obliterated them, I think the crowd had every little bit to do with that, because that arena was fucking loud. I've never been to a UConn basketball game where it was that loud. 2 UConn games I went to this year, I never heard that loud. Rentschler Field against Duke and Hartford against St. John's. The problem is it's the UConn backcourt. It's Silas and it's Solo Ball. Solo Ball is supposed to be a scorer, and if he's getting 0 points at the half, you're not opening up the court for the other players. And for Silas, I love how aggressive he is attacking the lane. But sometimes you got to pop the 3, bro. You just got to shoot the fucking ball. You have to. Tristan Newton was able to do both aspects, and it was so underrated and underappreciated for the success of those back-to-back championships. Alex Caravan can't create his own shot. So if Silas, Solo, and Mullins aren't doing their thing, they're not opening up the court for Caravan, who's probably the catching 3-point shooter. Terrace Reed, he's a dog. He's just got to stay out of foul trouble. So it's gonna be a tough go for the UConn Huskies. They gotta play absolutely perfect. And if it ever came down to them versus Duke, you have to be on your A++ game. Even though I think Duke is going to be down 2 starters for at least to start the tournament. I don't know if that's going to carry all the way through, but UConn has to take advantage of these opportunities. But coming out of the South, at the end of the day, it's going to be Duke. It is going to be Duke. And we're going to get the opportunity, folks, to see St. John's versus Duke. That is going to be a slobber knocker. I think that we're also going to get a chance to see Michigan State versus UConn. I think UConn will pass Furman and UCLA. That is going to be a dogfight between Tom Izzo and Dan Hurley. And then the winner of St. John's, Northern Iowa, which is probably going to be St. John's, and the winner of Kansas versus CA Baptist, which will probably be Kansas. In the round of 32, we're going to have St. John's versus Kansas. That's going to be a lot of deal breakers for a lot of these people's brackets. So it's going to be an interesting watch this weekend for March Madness. At the end of the day, I have Duke I have Purdue, Michigan, and Houston in my Final Four. And I say that as of right now, but maybe once I do a little more reviewing, because I still haven't completed my brackets yet, maybe that'll change. But as I'm doing this right now live, that's my Final Four. Duke, Purdue, Michigan, and Houston. I don't buy into Florida, and I don't buy into a lot of the other teams. The one team I could see making a little bit of a Cinderella run, excuse me, is VCU. I could see VCU making it to the Sweet 16. I could see them taking down North Carolina and Illinois. So we will see how that all goes. But enjoy the madness this weekend. Be safe. Be responsible. If you're going to miss work like I am to enjoy that PTO time. Is going to be well worth it. This is going to be a hell of a March Madness. It's going to be very unpredictable, and we might see some shit we've never seen before. We might get another Kevin Harlan freaking masterpiece on the air. All right, let's get into our next sport. All right. We are not going to go all over baseball specifically yet, as next Wednesday, I believe, is opening day for baseball. And if you're a Yankee player or San Francisco Giants player, you better bundle the fuck up, because I believe they are playing at 8 o'clock next Wednesday. It's still been brick up here in this fucking area. So we will see if that weather format changes. I'm going to go do a quick weather research right here just to find out, but I doubt it is. Oh, guys, by the way, they're calling for potentially snow next Wednesday. Like, Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. I'm so fucking sick of winter. So sick of the cold weather. All right, the World Baseball Classic. Man, we got USA versus Venezuela. Who thought that we'd be seeing Venezuela again? A lot of people, I'm sure, had their money on taking on Japan, but Venezuela took down. Was it Venezuela or Italy? It was Venezuela. Venezuela took down Japan, right? Let me go check. World Baseball Classic. When was that game? Saturday? Yeah, it was Venezuela. All right. So tonight's matchup between the United States and Venezuela, featuring on the mound Eduardo Rodriguez, the former Boston Red Sox, the former Arizona Diamondback. He might still be a Diamondback. I'm not sure. Taking on the New York Mets, Nolan McLean. Your starting lineups for Venezuela. You have Ronald Acuna Jr. leading off. Maikel Garcia batting second. Luis Ariz batting third. Eugenio Suarez in the designated hitter slot. Gleyber Torres batting fifth, playing second. Ezequiel Tovar, the shortstop, will be batting sixth. Wilyer Abreu batting seventh. Salvador Perez batting eighth. And Jackson Chourio rounding it out, batting ninth, playing center field. And for the Americans, they got Bobby Witt leading off, Bryce Harper at first base, Aaron Judge at right field, Kyle Schwarber, the designated hitter. They're going to go with Alex Bregman this time around instead of Gunnar Henderson. Alex Bregman batting fifth. Roman Anthony batting sixth. Cal Raleigh has been struggling. They're going to stick with Will Smith batting seventh and catching. Bryce Turang at second base, and they're going to go with Byron Buxton over Pete Crow Armstrong batting in the ninth slot. I got to tell you something, guys. This World Baseball Classic has been absolutely phenomenal in multiple aspects. We got to see Italy make it all the way to the semifinals. We're getting to see a lot of athletes get interested in this event. And with the Olympics coming up in 2028 in America, I believe right now it's only 3 or 4 teams that are locked into the Olympics for baseball. I believe it's Puerto Rico, the DR, Japan, and the United States of America, because a lot of these teams like Italy and Great Britain, I mean, a lot of people aren't from those countries, but they're gaining viewership. I mean, the way that these guys care, representing the countries that they are playing for, it's fucking great. It's absolutely incredible. It's been a hit. And the other thing that's amazing too is, think about this, man. Why wouldn't any other fucking major corporation think about this? It's affordable. The ticket prices are affordable. It's not to the 1% like the Super Bowl, where the only people that can attend Super Bowls, at least 80% of them, are celebrities or the 1% of high-class freaking millionaire and billionaires that can afford it with no problem. Not the casual fans like most of you guys that are listening right now that would have to go and get a loan out of the bank and work 60 hours a week for the next 5 years just to pay for that Super Bowl ticket, essentially. That's how you grow the sport. Baseball is doing it right. The World Baseball Classic, much like the Four Nations with hockey, which put it on the map, the overtime win for Canada against the United States of America, to the rematch that happened into the Olympics just this past winter, or this recent Olympics. That is how you grow the sport of baseball and hockey. You don't do like the NBA and the NFL where it costs you your fucking private areas to buy these tickets. It's great, and I cannot wait to watch tonight's matchup. It's a goddamn shame that it's not Tarik Skubal taking the mound. That's a Scott Boras thing, if you ask me, guys. I know a lot of people are pissed off at Skubal. To me, that's a Scott Boras thing, as if Scott Boras doesn't have enough money and have a lot of the clients that are making the highest salaries in baseball. Because at the end of the day, Tarik Skubal, if there is no salary cap, if there is no lockout, that guy will be the highest paid pitcher of baseball. You can mark those goddamn words. He'll probably get $45, maybe even $50 million a year. This is going to be a hell of a game. I was going to throw money in the United States of America to win. I was going to throw $120 because I turned $20 into $180 over the weekend, but that only wins me $45. So what's the fucking purpose of that? I think you know I'm going at the end of the day. We're going to be flying Freebird, baby. We are going to be World Baseball champions for the first time since 2017 when the United States took down Puerto Rico. Oh, and from what I heard, the rumor is that if Venezuela does beat us, we're going to send their president back over to Venezuela, back to his office. So you better be careful. It's all jokes, everybody. It's all fucking jokes. Take a joke. Jesus Christ. But next Tuesday will be the day before opening day, and I'm just excited to get baseball going, even though the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. All right. This next one, we're going to go off the top of our head. So if there are a lot of signings that I missed in the NFL, bear with me and put them in the comments if you want to talk about it in the comments with me, all right? We're going to go to the NFL. We're going to talk about some of the signings. All right. Listen, free agency got kicked off early. And if I'm not mistaken, the first big move that caught everybody by surprise was Max Crosby getting traded to the Baltimore Ravens. And that lasted for about 24 hours until the trade was essentially vetoed by the Baltimore Ravens as they sent him back to the Vegas Raiders. And instead, they bring in Trey Hendrickson for a 4-year, $114 million contract. I ask you in the comments here, Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson, which one would you rather have? I think it's every fucking day of the week that ends in Y that you want someone as fucking psychotic and powerful as Max Crosby. No disrespect to Trey Hendrickson because he is a top 5 edge up there with Max Crosby. The top 5 edge rushers in football, you probably say in no order: Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Trey Hendrickson. You probably throw TJ Watt in there and Micah Parsons. It's to me, at the end of the day, though, I would have done whatever it took for Max Crosby. Max Crosby, I mean, the way that he dominates over there in the AFC West against some of the best offensive lines in football when they're healthy between the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, I would have done whatever it took to take him. And I'm surprised that no one's made the phone call. I'm surprised that since you saw that he was available, you don't have teams like the Patriots and the Cowboys calling saying, hey, so is Crosby still available? Baltimore really dropped the ball. We want Adam. Not unless the Raiders are now trying to raise their price after what just came out. I believe it was 2 first-round picks. Maybe now they want a third first-round pick. I don't know. But I was shocked to see the Ravens were quick to be like, we're going to pass. We're going to bring in Trey Hendrickson. And Trey Hendrickson, who wanted all this money, and that's why he was fighting with the Bengals, he still got less than $30 million. I mean, barely, because, the incentives, it comes out to 4 years, $120 with the incentives. But, dude, you put a big fucking show on for the Bengals, about how you want to be the highest paid fucking edge rusher essentially in football, or at least you're not even close. Doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather be over there with Cincinnati with Joe Burrow and all them. It's not to say that the Ravens are worse than the Bengals significantly. Both quarterbacks are injury prone the last couple years. But if you ask me who I want between the two, leading the helm and scoring points while I'm trying to stop them from scoring points, I go with the Bengals. That caught me off guard. Speaking of getting caught off guard, what the fuck is wrong with the Atlanta Falcons? What in the ever-loving fuck is wrong with the Atlanta Falcons? You drafted a quarterback out of college who is prone to injury. The Dolphins released Tua, and now you bring in one that's prone to concussions. Poor Drake London. Poor Bijan Robinson. Poor Kyle Pitts. Tua versus Penix. What the fuck? I don't know which one is worse between the two. Never bought into the hype of Michael Penix, and Tua, before the concussions, I thought was a good quarterback that didn't have the throwing power anymore because of those hip injuries he sustained in college. But now he's going to drool in his freaking oatmeal at the age of 41 years old. And then once he gets concussed again this year, it's going to go down to 36. His age is just fucking rapidly declining when he's taking all these hits to the helmet. The Atlanta Falcons. This has got to be an ownership problem. The office and the head coach and cannot be blamed anymore. This has got to be an ownership problem. It has to be an Art Blank problem. I don't know how the hell, if you see that you need quarterback help, you sit there and you say, let's go with another lefty and let's go with Tua. It just, what the fuck? Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And the Atlanta Falcons fan base has to be livid. I don't know how you can look at the Tua side and be like, well, at least we have a comparable backup because he's going to get fucking blown. They're going to blow at his fucking face and he's going to get concussed. Unbelievable. Unfucking. Speaking of unfucking believable, the Jets. Steve, I feel so bad for you, brother. They're going to Geno Smith to come back to New York. You must be fucking kidding me. What can go wrong will go wrong for the Jets. And they actually made some moves that I do somewhat like. Like, I do like Minka Fitzpatrick for the Jets. Demario Davis, I know he's up there in age, but like, it feels like they need a lot of veteran leadership going on over there in New York because I don't know how many people really buy into Aaron Glenn. And the best thing you do is bring as many veterans as possible to a dysfunctional franchise with a bunch of young guys that don't know what the fuck is going on. Geno Smith. Well, I mean, it couldn't get any worse, right? I mean, they did trade Justin Fields to the Chiefs for like a 6th or 7th round pick, but it's still going to be rock bottom over there. I'll tell you one thing. Between the Jets and the Dolphins, it's going to be the battle of who's going to be in last place between those teams. And speaking of the Dolphins, Minka Fitzpatrick, Tua, Tyreek Hill's gone. Add Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle's getting traded over to the Denver Broncos. That happened as of earlier this morning. It's a good move. It is definitely a good move, but it's just a matter of how does he mesh with Bo Nix? I don't know. It's an interesting wide receiver room they got going on over there in Denver. You got you have Jalen Waddle now. You have Evan Ingram at the tight end. You have Courtland Sutton, and you have Mims. So the Broncos, who already won 14 games last year, I mean, you might as well think about keeping that number the same, bringing in Jalen Waddle, because whether it's him or it's Courtland Sutton as the number 2 receiver, it's a good option to have. I'm sure it's going to suck going from 85 degrees and sunny to 40 degrees, fucking 5,280 feet above freaking average height, average climate. You know, that's going to suck for a while, but you'll get used to it. You will get used to it. Kyler Murray. So he is going to get another shot, and he is going to go to the Minnesota Vikings, and I think that's a great move. And I honestly think that he is going to be the starting quarterback week 1 over J.J. McCarthy. I really don't believe in J.J. McCarthy at all. And what a good asset to bring in, because this guy, Kyler Murray, a former number 1 overall pick who has made it to the playoffs, but the coaching has always been a problem in Arizona. Now he's getting Kevin O'Connell. We've seen Kevin O'Connell turn around the careers of people like Sam Darnold and make the best version of Kirk Cousins we've ever seen out of Kirk Cousins. With someone like Kyler Murray, who has a good arm, who can use his legs well, I think it's going to be a big turnaround over there in Minnesota. In the NFC North, it's just getting back to where it was. Like, who the hell is going to win this division? It's the best division in football by far, with the Packers, the Lions, the Bears, and now the Vikings. The Vikings will be serious. They will be serious contenders with Kyler Murray for the NFC North. And I don't think that's much of a hot take if you ask me. All right. The Cowboys, not really much going on there for those boys down in Dallas outside of franchise tagging George Pickens, which is going to piss him off. The New York Giants, bringing in Isaiah Likely, a tight end, bringing in Patrick Ricard. The Giants are spending a good amount of money this offseason. They brought back Evan Neal as well. That's going to be interesting because we all know how much Giant fans just absolutely love Evan Neal and his comments that he makes about their fans flipping burgers and shit. So that's a great guy to bring back. But John Harbaugh is at the helm. Shit's going to be a lot different. When you think about the NFC East, guys, I think that 90% of people are going to look at number 1 and say that's absolutely locked up by the Eagles, whether they're going to have A.J. Brown or not. I saw something today from Adam Schefter that said before June 1st or June 10th, they said that the dead cap money, if they traded A.J. Brown, would be $40 million. Whereas if they wait until June to trade A.J. Brown, the dead cap goes down to 20. So we might see A.J. Brown get traded in June. You know, the Patriots' name is always going to be the first team to pop up, and it makes sense with Mike Vrabel and the fact that they do need a number 1 option at wide receiver. But with them also bringing in Hollywood Brown, they're preparing themselves in case they do have to take a turn for the worse, and it's bye-bye A.J. Brown. The Eagles also did just bring back Dallas Goedert on a 1-year deal, but we all, I think, would majorly agree the Eagles are the number 1 team coming out of the NFC East. They did lose a big piece of Jalen Phillips, who signed a 4-year, $120 million contract with the Carolina Panthers to boost up that defense going on over there. That is a big loss. There's been talks about them trading Jalen Carter to someone like the Green Bay Packers, but I don't know how realistic that is. Maybe just testing the waters to see what his value's at now that Jalen Phillips is gone. Who knows? But the Eagles are for sure winning the NFC East. So then who's going to come in second? Is it going to be the Cowboys? Is it going to be the Commanders? I mean, the Commanders, if you ask me, are probably the best fit. But, like, how severe are all those injuries that happened to Jaden Daniels? How significant are those injuries? In the New York Giants, I mean, the Giants, I feel like the Giants are going to be in between 7 to 10 wins. They're not going to be this bad unless every bad injury happens to them once again. That's the only way they're going to be this bad. Them losing Wan'Dale Robinson does suck, though. That is a big blow to the receiving group because he was balling last year with Jackson Dart. That is a big loss. But with them bringing in Isaiah Likely, we see how versatile that guy is. He just never really got a fair chance over there in Baltimore. And it's kind of hard to when you have Lamar and Derrick Henry. It is pretty damn hard to get and Mark Andrews, who is just, the franchise leader, essentially. It's going to be interesting what's going to happen over there in the NFC East. The New England Patriots side of things. All right. Romeo Doubs, not thrilled about. Not thrilled for the 4 years, $80 million that he's going to be getting paid. I'm not big on any of those wide receivers in that Green Bay Packers room. And for them to bring in Romeo Doubs, maybe he can prove me wrong, but that's not who I think we need to fill in for the loss of Stephon Diggs after they moved on from Stephon Diggs. The only reason I think that they moved on from Stephon Diggs is because of the sexual assault case, or else I feel like that guy definitely would have been back with the New England Patriots. He led them on the field well. He was a good leader in the clubhouse. Outside the clubhouse, we have the issues with the sexual assault, the whole drama going on with Cardi B and the baby mama, because you can't get out of the news when you're dating Cardi B. But we'll see, because like I said, I think they're just waiting on the sexual assault case and find out the outcome, and maybe they'll bring him back. Time will tell. Elijah Vera Tucker. That is a signing I like. Elijah Vera Tucker is a very good offensive lineman. The one problem he always has is staying healthy. That has been his biggest woe in his NFL career. So we'll see what happens with that. Kevin Byard, love that signing. The guy led the league in interceptions last year. He'll be back there at safety with Woodson, Craig Woodson. I fucking love that signing of Kevin Byard. The Rams side of things. I'm trying to remember the name of the corner. Xavier McDuffie, right? McDuffie, who they traded for from the Kansas City Chiefs and then locked him up as the highest paid corner in the NFL. That was a must-have. That's a great pickup because you know what? The Rams defense this year was an absolute shit show. It was not good whatsoever. They offensively were always able to keep up with Seattle, but the only reason was because their defense couldn't stop nobody. Not a goddamn soul. So it's a big pickup for Los Angeles Rams, and I think it's going to put them as the favorite to come out of the NFC for the Super Bowl, depending on what version of Matthew Stafford that you're going to get. You know, Matthew Stafford keeps getting older, guys. It's not guaranteed that this guy is always going to be one of the top running back or quarterbacks in all football. Let me see here. I want to see how many teams have multiple first-round picks because there is a good amount of them, if I'm not mistaken, what I saw earlier from, I think it was Adam Schefter. I'm just trying to see if I can find the tweet here. I think there's like 5 or 6 teams with multiple first-round picks. Okay, here it is. Oh, it's from Field Yates. All right, 5 teams have 2 first-round picks in the upcoming draft. The Jets have number 2 and number 16. The Browns have number 6 and 24. The Chiefs have number 9 and 29. The Dolphins have number 11 and number 30. And the Cowboys have number 12 and number 20. So I know a lot of the Cowboys fans are upset because the Cowboys have been very active this free agency. They must know what they're looking for in the draft. And I'm sure a lot of Cowboys fans are hoping that it's all defense because their defense absolutely stinks. Terrible. So I'm sure that's what y'all are hoping for. Yeah, you know, the Dolphins, going back to them because this has popped up. They traded the number 3 overall pick to the Niners, which basically was Trey Lance, which no sweat off their back. Traded Jalen Waddle today, released Tyreek Hill in February, and they released Bradley Chubb in March. This Miami team is going to be a whole new team and a whole new quarterback too, because I didn't bring up that they have Malik Willis. So that made sense that Malik Willis was going there. They brought their head coach out of the Packers organization. Their front office is from the Green Bay Packers organization, so it only made sense that they're going to bring in Malik Willis as well. Was it the right move? Not necessarily, but it doesn't surprise me in the slightest. Kansas City. Again, guys, I'm just rattling off shit here, so if there's moves that you want me to talk about, list them out in the comments. Bringing in Kenneth Walker. I didn't see that. I don't think anybody really saw that coming. I think that is a really good signing there for the Kansas City Chiefs. I know I was on a whole thing last year about how how I don't really believe in Kenneth Walker. I really don't. But when you have an elite quarterback like Patrick Mahomes coming in, that is a fucking valuable piece to have at running back. Might be arguably the best running back piece Patrick Mahomes has had in his career. Better than Pacheco, better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Pacheco going to Detroit too to go pair up with Jahmyr Gibbs after they traded Montgomery to the Texans not that long ago. Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs, I think, is a really, really good pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, I don't know what the Chiefs are going to primarily be focusing on in this draft because they basically lost their whole secondary. All their corners and all their safeties are basically out, but their offensive line is also an issue too. So with those 2 first-round picks, what are they going to address first, the defense or the offensive line? Just remember, your quarterback needs an offensive line. That's more important. We'll see if that's what they're going to address first. The 49ers. That electric magnetic field is fucking looking at Mike Evans' hamstrings, and it's salivating, baby. It is fucking drooling, ready to take those motherfuckers right off the fucking leg. Mike Evans going there for a 3-year deal. And the reason as to why shocked me. not necessarily shocked me, but the statement that he made at this point in his career, he wants to face a challenge with a different team. Basically, he's not wrong if that's true of saying that he wants to win another Super Bowl. You have a better chance to do that with the 49ers than you do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it's a matter of time till Juwan Jennings is gone out of San Francisco. The whole shit that's going on with Brandon Ayuk, whether they release him or trade him, he'll be out of San Francisco. But it's going to be a lot of old legs over there for the 49ers between McCaffrey, who's getting up there in age, George Kittle, and now Mike Evans. So it's going to be pretty old over there in San Francisco. It ain't getting any younger. Khalil Mack went back on a 1-year deal with the Chargers. I feel like it's just going to be the Chargers until the end, until he finally says enough's enough, and he's going to hang him up. Travis Etienne. I was flabbergasted to see him go to a team like the New Orleans Saints. I guess being home is more important to him, as he is from that region. He is from that area, so he will be home in Louisiana playing football, and probably always a group of Saints fans, probably what he always want to do. So if that's the case, good for him. Enjoy. Unfortunately, you just fucked yourself in the fucking ass because the Jaguars probably the best team in the AFC South, and you said see ya. The AFC South, speaking of, Alec Pierce getting paid by the Indianapolis Colts. Didn't see that one coming. A lot of people thought that he was going to go over to the Patriots, but he likes to stay with the Colts. And because he decided to stay with the Colts then decided to trade Michael Pittman over to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So the Pittsburgh Steelers now will have DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman at wide receiver, which are both very valuable options. And maybe it makes Aaron Rodgers say, yeah, what the fuck? One more year. Because why not? Who else are they going to have a quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers? What are you going to do? Call Kirk Cousins? Kyler Murray's gone. Man, I really rattled off a lot of shit right there, huh? All right. Well, guys, we are just about 50 minutes away from first pitch over Miami between the United States and Venezuela. I appreciate everybody's patience for understanding why I didn't do the show last week. As long as we're flu-like free, folks, we will do the show every Tuesday. I promise you. Just hope that I don't get caught in that shit again. That shit sucks. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the March Madness that it's going to be happening this Thursday all the way into Sunday. For my Connecticut people, it is going to be 63 on Sunday. Find your open golf courses and get those swings in because I will be at the View this Sunday over in Hampton. I am excited to get that going. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it. A very quick, straight to the point episode of the Sports Cave. I will see you motherfuckers next Tuesday, but until then, stay sexy, Sports Cave.